Hi, I'm Leona. I'm a single mom to the world's coolest 8-year-old Ethan. We've got a decent life in our small apartment across town from my parents, and that distance is absolutely intentional. Sunday dinners at my parents' house are like walking into a minefield with a blindfold. Ethan usually brings his Nintendo Switch so he can avoid my sister Valerie's glares. She's always been the golden child who could do no wrong, while I was just there. Mom, do we really have to go? Ethan looked up from tying his shoes. Aunt Val always looks at me like I'm gonna break something. Just 2 hours, bud. I promised Grandpa Robert we'd try one more time. When we arrived, Valerie was already there, showing off photos from her latest vacation. Look who finally decided to show up. Valerie barely glanced our way as Mom rushed to hug Ethan. There's my grandson, getting so big. Dad patted Ethan's head. Maybe we'll make a baseball player out of you yet. Dinner went as expected. Mom and Dad fawned over Valerie's promotion while I answered questions about why I hadn't found someone new yet. Ethan finished eating first and asked to be excused. Go play in the living room, honey, Mom said. 20 minutes later, a blood-curdling scream cut through the house. My eyes! Mom! It burns! I bolted to the living room to find Ethan on the floor, hands covering his face, screaming in pain. Valerie stood over him, holding her designer perfume bottle. What happened? I dropped beside Ethan, who was sobbing uncontrollably. The little brat was going through my purse, Valerie said, shrugging. I taught him a lesson. He was touching your things, so you sprayed perfume in his eyes? Oh, calm down. It's just perfume. Mom and Dad appeared in the doorway, looking more annoyed than concerned. What's all this commotion? Dad frowned. Valerie sprayed perfume in Ethan's eyes. We need to get him to a hospital. Mom rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. Rinse it out in the sink. He probably needed that anyway, Dad chuckled. Teach him to keep his hands to himself. They both laughed while my son writhed in pain on the floor. Are you serious right now? I scooped up Ethan. He's 8! Leona, you're overreacting as usual, Valerie smirked. I carried Ethan to my car, his little body shaking against me. It's okay, baby. We're going to the hospital. The emergency room doctor, Dr. Chen, examined Ethan's swollen red eyes carefully. Chemical conjunctivitis. Perfume contains alcohol and oils that can damage the cornea. How did this happen? My sister deliberately sprayed him in the face. Dr. Chen's expression hardened. I'll need to document this. This isn't an accident. This is assault on a minor. As Ethan whimpered through the eye-washing procedure, something hardened inside me. The years of Valerie's torment, my parents' excuses, the constant dismissal of my feelings, it all crystallized into something dangerous. Will he be okay? I clutched Ethan's hand. We'll need to monitor for corneal damage. But Leona, I have to ask, has anything like this happened before? Has your sister done things like this before? Dr. Chen asked, his pen hovering over the medical chart. She's always been cruel. Cut up my prom dress, accidentally deleted my thesis. But this is the first time she's hurt Ethan. Dr. Patel, the eye specialist, arrived an hour later. The damage isn't permanent, she said after examining Ethan. But I'm documenting everything. These drops 4 times daily will help. My phone buzzed with a text from Valerie. Sorry the brat got hurt, but maybe teach him not to touch expensive things? Just saying. I'm sorry, Mommy, Ethan whispered from the hospital bed, his eyes covered with gauze. You have nothing to be sorry for. But Grandpa and Grandma said I deserved it. Something inside me snapped. I'd spent my life letting them hurt me, but nobody was going to hurt my son. When we got home, my parents had left 6 voicemails. I finally answered. Leona, you're making a mountain out of a molehill, Mom screeched. Valerie feels terrible. Ethan has chemical burns on his corneas. Kids are resilient. Remember when you broke your arm? You survived? That was an accident. Valerie deliberately sprayed chemicals into his eyes. Robert, talk to your daughter. Leona, enough with the drama, Dad barked. Stop babying the boy. I hung up. My friend Maya texted immediately. Heard about ER visit. Coming over. Maya worked as a child welfare advocate and arrived with soup and Ethan's favorite gummy worms. How is he? Sleeping. His eyes will heal, but he's in pain. I broke down, telling her everything. The perfume, my parents' reaction, the years of Valerie's torment. Leona, this isn't normal family dysfunction. This is abuse. Maya took out a notebook. And now they've escalated to hurting Ethan. But they're family. Family doesn't mean they get a free pass to hurt your child. You need to document everything. Texts, voicemails, medical reports. Build your case. My case? For whatever comes next, restraining order, custody protection, or just having proof when they try to gaslight you. After Maya left, I created a folder, Family Evidence. I uploaded screenshots of Valerie's texts, recordings of my parents' voicemails, and Ethan's medical reports. The next morning, Valerie called. Mom and Dad are really upset with you. You're tearing this family apart over nothing. Over nothing? Ethan can barely open his eyes. Look, I said sorry. What more do you want? I want you to stay away from my son. Don't be ridiculous. We're family. Family doesn't hurt children, Valerie. God, you always were so dramatic. This is why Mom and Dad always preferred me. I hung up on Valerie mid-sentence and blocked her number. Over the next week, I compiled a digital timeline of every manipulative thing my family had done. Screenshots of nasty texts, photos of gifts with strings attached, even an audio recording from Christmas when Dad told Ethan he wasn't living up to the family name because he preferred art to sports. Saturday morning, someone pounded on my door so hard the hinges rattled. Open up, Leona. I know you're in there. Ethan flinched at Valerie's voice, his eyes still pink and sensitive. Go to your room, buddy. Lock the door. The banging continued. You can't keep ignoring us. Mom and Dad are furious. I cracked open the door. Lower your voice or leave. How dare you block my number? Valerie shoved past me into the apartment. We're family. You can't cut us off because your precious snowflake got a little perfume in his eyes. Get out of my house. Not until you stop this ridiculous drama and apologize to Mom and Dad. My neighbor Marcus's voice came from the hallway. Everything okay in there, Leona? Marcus was an off-duty police officer who lived across the hall. Mind your own business, Valerie snapped. My neighbor screaming about injured children is my business. Marcus stepped into view, arms crossed. Ma'am, I suggest you leave. After Valerie stormed out, Marcus showed me a neighborhood Facebook group where Valerie had posted that I was an unfit mother, who made up medical emergencies for attention. This has gone too far, Marcus said. You should talk to my sister Jennifer. She's a family lawyer. The following Monday, I sat in Jennifer's office while Ethan was at school. Based on what you've shown me, you have grounds for a harassment claim and possibly a restraining order. Jennifer tapped through my evidence folder. But first, let's try something. Invite them all to a family meeting. Neutral location, public enough they won't make a scene. They'll never listen. The meeting isn't for them to listen. It's to give them enough rope to hang themselves. I booked a private room at a local restaurant and texted everyone. Family meeting, Thursday 6 p.m., Bean and Brew back room. Non-negotiable if you want any relationship with Ethan. When Thursday arrived, Mom, Dad, and Valerie were already waiting. Faces like thunderclouds. Finally ready to apologize for your theatrics? Dad asked. Actually, I wanted to have an honest conversation about our family dynamic. Mom rolled her eyes. Here we go with the psychobabble. I've been documenting everything. I placed my phone on the table. Every text, every voicemail, every social media post where Valerie calls me an unfit mother. Every time you've dismissed Ethan being hurt. You're recording us? Valerie hissed. I'm protecting my son. From what? A little discipline? Dad scoffed. Chemical assault isn't discipline. You ungrateful little... Mom started. Everything you say right now is being recorded, I reminded them. And all three of you are currently on a neighborhood watch list as potential threats to a minor. Their faces drained of color, but Valerie recovered first. You think anyone will believe you over us? We're respected in this community. Dr. Patel's medical report and the police statement believe me. Dad pounded the table. We raised you better than this. No, I said calmly. You didn't. Dad stormed out of the restaurant, Mom trailing behind him. Valerie stayed behind, leaning across the table. You've really done it now. This family will never forgive you. That's fine by me. I filed for a restraining order this morning. Her smug smile vanished. You what? Jennifer filed it based on the documented harassment, assault on a minor, and your little social media campaign. The next day, Jennifer called with updates. The judge granted the temporary order. Valerie can't come within 500 feet of you or Ethan. What about my parents? One battle at a time. By the way, Dr. Patel submitted her final medical report. It classifies the incident as deliberate chemical exposure causing second-degree corneal burns. That's serious. I forwarded Dr. Patel's report to my cousin Rachel, the family gossip, along with a folder of screenshots. Within days, my phone exploded with messages from extended family who'd always believed Valerie's version of events. I had no idea, Aunt Patty said when she called. We always thought you were just sensitive. The medical report, those pictures. I'm so sorry, Leona. 3 weeks later, Mom and Dad showed up at my apartment unannounced. I cracked the door, chain still on. What do you want? We've been thinking. Mom fidgeted with her purse. Maybe we were a bit harsh. A bit harsh? You laughed while your grandson screamed in pain. That's ancient history. Dad waved dismissively. Family needs to stick together. Valerie's having a hard time at work since people found out she assaulted a child. Her boss saw those things you sent around. She's on probation now. That's not my problem. Look, Mom pushed. We're trying to apologize here. No, you're trying to make yourselves feel better because Valerie's finally facing consequences. We miss Ethan, Dad admitted. You should have thought about that before you told him he deserved to be hurt. I closed the door on their protests and turned to find Ethan standing in the hallway. Are Grandma and Grandpa mad at us? They're mad at themselves, buddy, and that's not our problem anymore. 2 months later, we celebrated Ethan's 9th birthday at the park with Maya, Marcus, his kids, and several school friends. Jennifer brought cupcakes, and Dr. Patel stopped by with a science kit gift. How's the birthday boy? Maya asked, watching Ethan play tag. His eyes healed completely. No permanent damage. And Valerie? The restraining order became permanent last week. I heard she moved to another district after the school board removed her from the PTA. Your parents? Still sending guilt trip texts to my blocked numbers. Aunt Patty says they're telling everyone I'm keeping their grandson from them out of spite. But you're okay with that? I watched Ethan laugh as he ran across the grass, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about him. We've never been better. As if sensing my gaze, Ethan looked up and waved, his eyes bright and clear in the sunlight. I waved back, feeling something I hadn't felt in years around my family. Peace. Is Leona justified in permanently cutting her parents out of Ethan's life? Or should she have given them a second chance after they apologized? Would you have handled this situation differently? If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. For more revenge stories about standing up to toxic people, subscribe to our channel. New stories every day about people who refuse to be victims anymore.